Okay, awesome. Awesome. So thank you so much for joining me for this session. Today, we're going to talk about your knowledge panel for your personal brand. And I had a look earlier and I have some really awesome insight for you. So I am on google.com. And once I Google your name, this is what I see right here. So you have the left-hand rail on Google showing, which is great. It's a sign that Google is familiar with your name. You don't yet have a knowledge panel, which is what we're going to try to aim to help you with today. Now, one of the first things I notice on your site is, and this is just from my SEO knowledge, right, is it's yet to be optimized. And this will be a very important step in attaining a knowledge panel. And I'll explain why with a couple of examples. So ideally, this is the sort of knowledge panel you'll want when someone Googles your name. You'll have both the left-hand rail, right-hand rail, and ideally a top-hand rail, which just looks brilliant, right, when someone's looking for you online. Now, a key aspect to having a knowledge panel is to have what we SEOs call site links. Now, site links is important because it shows that Google understands the structure of your site. And site links are what you see right here, just underneath a site listings on Google. You have the site listings and then sort of like mini navigations across the site. If we compare this to your site right here, you just have mainly your name. There are signs that there are links to other pages, but they're not site links like this right here. Now, the reason this is important for a knowledge panel is it shows the authority of your site, and it shows that Google understands the structure of your site, which is needed in order to attain a knowledge panel. So that will be the first thing that we'll need to work on here. And I'll delve into a couple of things that will help you attain site links. Now, I'll go through two more overviews and then circle back and delve into each one of the things I mentioned. The second thing will need for your sites to attain a knowledge graph for your name is to decide upon an entity home. This can be one of two pages. An entity home is essentially a page on your site. It can either be your homepage or it can be the about page on your site. Either or is fine. Now, for businesses, for brands, I tend to recommend the about page. For personal branding, either the about or homepage can be used. For most brands, I prefer to use the about page for most brands, mainly because the homepage is used for other sort of marketing aimed at users, not necessarily for search engines. And it's important because this right here, the entity home will require the text to be slightly different to the way it is here. It essentially will require it to be written, the text to be written in third person. And let me circle back to this as an illustration. You'll see knowledge panels. 99% of knowledge panels, in fact, more than that, of knowledge panels that I've seen, they all use third person text, mainly because it's a way for search engines to explicitly understand the brand, right? So it starts with the brand's name, a verb, and then what the brand is. I have, I think, 2 or 3 examples here. You see exactly the same sort of format. It uses the same subject, verb, object format. Here's a third example. And you'll find that a lot of Wikipedia entries start with this sort of format, specifically because it's what search engines are able to understand explicitly. There will come a day where search engines understand brands from a first person point of view, but at the moment, the explicit text makes it easy for search engines to understand the brand. So it's a question that I'll need to pose to you. Which page would you prefer to have the text written as third person? Either the home page or the about page. Whichever page that you prefer, that will be your entity home for your personal branding.
Probably the about page would be easier.
The about, okay. That makes things a lot easier. So if we're choosing this page, what we'll need then is to have the text written in third person, especially the opening text. So, and this I'll delve into momentarily once I finish the third aspect to attaining a knowledge panel, which is to have corroboration. And corroboration of your entity, think of it this way. It's when Google visits your site and understands your entity page and understands your brand, they'll want to have that information cross-reference across other sites as well, other sites on the net, on the web rather, the net, on the web. And this is what corroboration is all about. And this is why having this text in third person makes it a lot easier for search engines. Again, it's to do with that explicit understanding. So those are the three main things I recommend for your knowledge panels to be triggered. One is to optimize your site just to ensure that you have site links. Secondly, now that you've chosen this as your entity home, is to update your description. And then the third thing will be to have corroboration. So let's delve into the first thing I mentioned, which is optimization. So to have site links similar to these right here, there are three main things I recommend to have site links triggered. One is I notice you don't yet have footer navigation. Now, site links are a way for Google to think of it as a way for Google to show users what they think are the most important pages on your site. Your site has quite a few pages, so 9 pages across your site, which is fine. You can have site links triggered with 9 pages. Ideally, you'd want to have more pages on the site, especially more pages for users. Some of these pages, such as the privacy policy, they are not really user-based pages. So when your site links are triggered, they'll be more likely about, similar to what Google's trying to create here. So we just need to give them a bit of a nudge to create site links for you. So first thing I'll suggest is to have footer navigation. And the footer navigation will be similar to what you have right here at the top, maybe minus the homepage button. These days, if people want to reach the homepage, they just click on your logo. So if you have these navigation links within the footer, that will be a helping hand for Google. 2 more things. Your XML sitemap. I'm not sure if you have if you have it submitted to Google Search Console. If you haven't, I recommend doing so. Search Console, submitting it to Search Console will be a way for Google to easily digest your pages and crawl the pages. So it's essentially you telling Google the important pages on your website. So just go ahead and submit your XML sitemap to Google. You do have an XML sitemap. I had a look earlier on. It looks something like this. It's very technical.
I don't know what that is or how to look at it or how to submit it.
Okay. So essentially, if you're aiming to optimize your sites, submitting your XML sitemap to Google Search Console will be one of the things you suggest to the SEO. The SEO will definitely know how to do this. You'll just need to ensure that they have done this for you. So add footer navigation to your site, submit the XML sitemap to Google Search Console, and then have internal links on your site. This again will be something that an SEO can help you with. If your proposing to the SEO or suggesting it to the SEO. You just want a very simple, scaled down optimization of your site. These will be things that they'll help you with. Internal links, XML sitemap submission to Google Search Console. And you might need to have a web developer help you with having your footer navigation in place. But those are just very basic things that can be implemented for you. You'll just need to ensure that the SEO/web developer does so for you. So that will then aid you in having a site link, which will be similar to this. And once you have this on the left-hand rail, when someone to Google your name, you'll see something more akin to this, minus the right-hand rail right here. And once you have this site links in place, it will then be a sign that, okay, Google is near ready to trigger a knowledge panel for you. Now, the second thing, your description, your entity description. We use a specific format for the very first sentence. And if I were to go back to Maria, is it Maria or Marie? Marie here as an example. The format we tend to use, the explicit format for the very first sentence, is subject, verb, object. And this essentially is your name, subject, verb is, and then object, what you do. You'll see across pretty much all knowledge panels, the description is written in this specific format for the first sentence. The second and third sentences, they can then delve more into with who you serve. So what you do, maybe a bit more details into what you do and the audience you serve. But this first sentence is the most important one, which has to be in this specific format: subject, verb, and then object, what the person does, what you do in your case. And you will want that within this this line right here. So if you were to update, if you could update this text to have that format in place, that will be brilliant. And again, having it in third person, especially for that first sentence, subject, verb, object. So that will be the second thing. And the reason it's important is because Google will crawl your site, crawl this page specifically, the about page, and try to get an understanding of you. Again, the more explicit you have it, the quicker it's able to understand you. And once you have that second thing, it will then want to crawl other websites across the web and see if the information that it understands is corroborated across those sites. And this is where sites that you're also listed in or listed on, i.e. your LinkedIn, Twitter. Now, overall, think of your external or sites that you have a citation on as second party sites, i.e. your social media profiles, and third party sites, i.e. sites where you're featured in or on. So second party sites, your LinkedIn, if you can have the same similar description on LinkedIn. Now, this is where you might need to appropriate your description. So if you're not able to use a third person description for formatting reasons on other sites, that's fine, as long as the description is near the same. Right. So on LinkedIn, for example, you might want to keep it more first person. On Twitter, you might want to have it as third person. That's fine. As long as they are more closely similar, more similar to your entity home, that will be great. And then for third party websites, so sites where you have a feature in, ideally it should be in third person.
Yeah. I also have no control. That second one, that's the research organization I used to work at. I've asked them to take me off their website, and they don't know how to do it. And it gets pushed up so high in Google now. I hope it's not affecting. I mean, it's very related to what I still do. It's just earlier in my career. So I hope it's not impacting Google's ability to figure out what I do.
So I'll come back to that site in a moment. You'll find that the sites that are below yours are what Google uses to corroborate your information, right? So a quick tip for this is to Google your name and then have a look at the sites below you. I think that usually the first or the next 10 to 20 sites will be the most important ones that Google uses for corroboration purposes. So this secondary one right here, let's delve into it. So, okay, you have your name in full, your citation, which is great. And this text right here, manager publications. Okay. And they link to your LinkedIn profile. Okay, which is great. I think the description is not ideal. If they can tweak it slightly. I know it's a big ask, right?
Well, I don't work there. I don't work there anymore. So I don't think they'll change it. I can't even get them to take it down. So I definitely can't get them to like edit it.
Okay. No, okay. No worries at all. No, you can just skip this one and just go into the next site. Now, this is why I mentioned the second and third party sites, right? Because you'll find that LinkedIn and Twitter tends to be ranked quite highly, which is great news because those you have partial control of. So even if you're not able to change this one, if you're able to change the next, I don't know, let's say 8 or so, that should be enough information for Google to use as corroboration, even if this text is slightly different. Because for one, it has your name. It has, I guess, similar thing to what you do now.
Not a similar title. Quite. The research aspect is similar. Otherwise, I don't think there's any overlap.
Okay. And it has a link to your LinkedIn. So this is actually a very good sign because you're able to control your LinkedIn information. So if you're able to change your LinkedIn, Google will crawl the sites, have an understanding of your brand. And because it links to LinkedIn, it will also crawl LinkedIn and use it as a form of corroboration. So in a sense, it will sort of like crawl your site, crawl this secondary site. And once it crawls the third site, because these two corroborate more closely than this third one, it will go with the majority.
Okay. And that Twitter account is somebody else's Twitter account. I'm not sure why that comes up.
Okay. This is where branding gets very interesting because right now I've Googled your name and Google's presenting to me what they believe who they believe I am looking for. So once you optimize your site more, the prominence of your brand it becomes more important on Google and to Google rather than other personal branding, other brands. Let me give you an illustration here with Karen Brady. Okay. Karen Brady, very important here in the UK, in the US as well, because I'm on google.com. And because of that, Google knows whenever someone searches for Karen Brady, even though it's quite a popular name, they assume I am seeking information about this Karen Brady. This is the sort of thing we want for your brand. It's the same with all other brands. Elizabeth, give me a moment. I'll come back to her because there's an important information I want to share with you around her. And Marie here, Google assumes I'm seeking this Marie. If I'm seeking another Marie, based on what I search for or me scrolling down or clicking on a different Marie, it will then iterate what it presents to me, right? So the branding, the goal of optimization and particularly knowledge panels is to ensure that Google knows and has confidence of their understanding of one's brand in order to present your brand to your target audience, whoever's searching for you. Now, Elizabeth here, she has an interesting knowledge panel for two reasons. One, Google has surmised her knowledge panel based on her sort of like celebrity status. She's some sort of correspondence, news correspondence, or she works for the Time magazine. Okay. She hasn't yet claimed her knowledge panel, right? So Google, until the knowledge panel is claimed, Google is not going to be very confident with their with this knowledge panel. That's the first thing. The second thing, you'll notice, so this knowledge panel, if you have a look at the reference, the source right here, it's coming from Calvin University, whereas others partly coming from their website and Wikipedia. Wikipedia is a great source for knowledge panel for celebrities or high profile brands, whereas hers is coming from Calvin University. What you'll want to achieve with yours, and the reason why you want to optimize your site and tweak your entity home, is to ensure that this page, this home, is the source of information for Google in order to trigger a knowledge panel. So it's similar to Elizabeth here. She'll have a hard time, similar to hers, is in the facts are coming from this university. If she doesn't work at the university, she'll have a hard time claiming it, because it'll be quite difficult to claim it with the university when she's not a part of the university. Whereas yours will be a lot easier. You'll find that when your knowledge panel is triggered, you'll have something similar to this, where you'll have your name, your description, the source that this knowledge panel is coming from. And right here, you'll have a claim this knowledge panel button. Once you click on it, it's just a very simple process to ensure that Google can confirm you. And for this, you'll require official documentation, i.e., driving license or driving license or a passport. That's the word I was looking for, because you would literally have to take a picture of you holding your official documentation, and this is a way for Google to confirm. It's like the final step for them to create and maintain a knowledge panel. So someone can't claim someone else's knowledge panel because of that official process that Google has in place. This is a very simple, it's like a 2-minute form, and someone at Google reviews it, and usually it takes just maybe a day or two, and it then becomes confirmed. And whenever someone Googles you, you'll have something similar to this. It will start with something similar to this, and over time, it will be built out to be more akin to this, which is a wonderful knowledge panel. And once you have it, it will actually be a better knowledge panel than this, because you'll have control of the information, the facts that Google are presenting to your audience that are searching for you. So right now, this is a work in progress. You can use this as a base. There are a couple of steps to take to attain a knowledge panel. Time-wise, I think in your case, it will be more. It usually takes 6 to 9 months. In your case, I think will be closer to the 9, maybe 10 months range. Because there's a step or two to carry out, i.e. optimizing your website to have your site links in place before your knowledge panel will be triggered. But once it's triggered, it's such a pleasurable thing to see something more scaled out like this. And I'm on a laptop. On mobile, what tends to happen is you have just one view rather than 3 rails. You just have one rail, and what people see is this top hand rail. the right-hand rail and then the information on the left. So it's just an illustration of how important this view is. It's not just a visual appeal. It's also a deeper understanding to the visual appeal of it.
Would you, at what point, if any, would you recommend making a Wikipedia page?
I would not recommend doing that for a couple of reasons. One, it's against Wikipedia's guidelines to create a page about you. So you have to go to an external source to do that. Two, even if you had a Wikipedia and your knowledge panel was created with Wikipedia, it's not ideal for most businesses because it'll be very difficult to update your knowledge panel. Every time you want to do so, you'll have to go through Wikipedia or through the third-party source to update your Wikipedia profile. Profiles on Wikipedia get removed, unedited, or if someone were to edit it, it gets unedited. It's very messy. You're playing by Wikipedia's rules, essentially. Whereas if you have it triggered with your own website, you have direct control of the information there, right? This is why having this, deciding on an entity home, is very powerful, because you're essentially saying to Google, use this as the source of information, the main source of information to build my knowledge panel, and not any other website. So you have control of what people see. And if you have a Wikipedia, and you then want to revert to having your site as the source of your knowledge panel, it takes even longer because what you'll be trying to do is say to Google, this source that you've initially used, Wikipedia, don't trust it anymore. Instead, use my source. So it's a conflict of confidence that Google will then have to drop Wikipedia as the source and then use your site. So it takes even longer, significantly longer.
Thank you. That's the only question I had.
Cool. So to sum up with the steps needed for this, you want to optimize your site to have site links. You've chosen your entity home, your about page, which is a great page to use. Now it's a case of building this as the source of authority, which requires your description to be updated, to use the subject, verb, object, especially for the first sentence, and ideally to use a third person description. And then it's a case of having corroboration, i.e. your brand and your brand description, entity description, corroborated across second party sites, i.e. LinkedIn, Twitter, and then third party sites, those that mention you as a citation, as a profile piece. Awesome. So a couple of things to do there. Time wise, we're looking at 9-10 months, I would say. But again, once you have it, it'll be very worthwhile indeed.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like I know exactly what I need to do and the steps to take. And I really appreciate your help. Thanks, Austine.
Pleasure. Yeah, have a play around with it. If you need additional help, just get in touch and we can work something out.
Will do. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Isis.